How's it going, everybody? This is Rob of Novakast, back with some more of reading Reaper's Creek. This is chapter 6, and oh my gosh. Alright, let's continue, shall we? Chapter 6. The body was old. There was a mold growing on the side of her face. David hadn't spoken to me in weeks. The police came. She was dragged out of our creek and placed in a body bag. Through all this, the alien nightmares continue regardless of the psychological stress I endured stumbling upon the dead body in my own backyard. They didn't know why there was a dead woman in a skimpy pink dress laying in our creek. They couldn't explain how she had gone so long undiscovered. 2 children finding her body. She was one of the 3 victims. David and I will live with this haunting our childhood forever. They were still looking for her left arm. It seemed it was chewed off by some animal in the woods upstream. There was no indication that this is the first indication of the body, and no indication that the arm was missing. I was required to go back to school after about 10 days. Half of the school knew about what I had gone through, but that didn't change how the key people in my life treated me outside David. I saw Audrey was on the playground at recess today, so I approached her. I thought maybe she could get my mind off the creek, help me escape the memories of the alien sticking his fingers in my neck and torturing me every other night. "Hey, Audrey," I said, trying to smile. Audrey replied, "Hey, Daniel," with a slight smile as well. She had learned a bit about me through her friend Amber, who was an observer who liked to learn things about people. Most everyone she was around. I suppose it made her feel more secure, which I'm sure has its own reasons and story. "I was wondering if you wanted to go with me sometime," I said. Audrey replied, "Go with you." Just after Amber walked up to Audrey and said, "Hey, Daniel." I looked up and said hi back, only to connect eyes with Audrey again. Go out on a date to like the mall, I said. Audrey looked at her feet and said, "I don't know. I'll have to get back to you, I think." Amber jumping in saying, "She have to ask her parents." "Wouldn't be she has," and gave me a big smile. In the corner of my eye, I could see a figure standing there, staring at me. It was Philip. Looking over, I could see he was angry. Clearly, he didn't care about what I had gone through recently. He hated me just as much as before, and after my brief time away from school, obviously just wanted to continue where we left off, the field, the ball in my hand, the threat I made for the sake of defending someone else. The rest of recess I decided to spend in the basketball court trying to jump off the wall and grab the hoop. Myself and a few other people were having fun doing it, and only I was able to actually grab on every other attempt, as I was the tallest as well as the best jumper. The bell rang and we were off to class. Before class started up again, my teacher approached me and whispered an apology on the half dinosaur, half human she had shown me on the first day of school. Apparently, I was not the only one who complained, and that gave me a sense of relief. The ride home from school was lonely. Joanna was off at some extended extracurricular activity, and of course David was still coping with being the first of us to see the body. Mitchell didn't talk much as usual, so it was mostly just me alone with my thoughts, not exactly where I wanted to be. When I got home, I looked for my papa, but he was nowhere to be found. As I looked for him, I heard booming laughter in the distance outside. The sound came from my neighbors, which happened to be my grandpa and my grandma's house. So I walked down the gravel road to see who was so happy. As I got closer, I could see my papa talking to my Uncle Ben. He always got along with my mom's side of the family, maybe even more so than my mom. They would ride motorcycles together, go fishing together, and shooting as well. "Hey, Papa," I said. My stepdad replied, "Hey, Daniel, come here." I ran up to hug him. I laughed, and after a brief glance, my Uncle Ben just looked back to what he was working on in the shop they were in. After my papa hugged me, I moped around outside the shop until I saw a flower, bent over to pick the flower, only to hear, "Well, that won't grow back for 7 years." It was my uncle. He was pointing out I had just ruined something rare. I didn't know how to react, so I just said sorry. My uncle just shrugged and went back to work. Now feeling stupid, I decided I would just walk home again and play video games in my room. My mom didn't make dinner that night. Joanna was straight to her room once she got home, and I was happier left alone, lightly tapping away at the game controller, lost in the world of Final Fantasy VII. The next day at recess, I went to check on Audrey to see if she had asked her parents about going on a date. When I approached Audrey, she seemed happy to see me, but as I began to ask her, Philip approached me from behind. I would keep trying to ask Audrey if she talked to her parents, but Philip kept interrupting with statements like, "You have a problem with me? And what are you, a wuss? You have a problem?" I could see Audrey was getting upset with Philip barging in on our otherwise peaceful interaction. So I asked Audrey calmly, "Would you like me to get rid of this guy?" She hesitated to respond, but I could see our lives would both be better without Philip. "Yeah, keep you back turned to me, you pathetic loser," Philip screamed at the back of my head as I faced Audrey, and then sighed and said to Audrey, "This will take just a moment." Yeah, like freaking Onision's that tough. I'm sorry. Using everything my mom taught me about fighting and the anger I felt for Philip messing with the connection I felt with Audrey, I began slinging my fist as fast as I could at Philip's face. I did so in a way that me even turning to him in the first place to begin punching him would be just a blurry memory to him. Okay, I feel like that should have been different, like multiple sentences. The only thing Philip knew to do was try and grab my shirt as I was still punching his face and pull me to the ground. As I fell on the ground, he made the mistake of not pushing me away from him, so I continued from the sitting position to rapidly punching him in the face as he was forced to bend forward, having not yet let go of my shirt. After a few punches from me on the ground, he fell over, releasing my shirt, and began screaming as he cried. One of the staff assigned to watch kids on the playground was also screaming in horror as she had caught the tail end of our fist fight. We were both taken to the principal's office, but at the time I didn't understand why was I even in trouble. The entire way to the office, I was asking the question, like, why am I in trouble? He was bullying me, while Philip just screamed, he was punching me like a machine. Philip and I was placed in chairs next to each other in the office. I was in the same chair the day I walked in after seeing the dinosaur-human hybrid months prior. Philip was sniffling and wiping away dry tears from his face at this point next to me. He had a tissue the staff had given him to help him deal with everything coming out of his nose and eyes. After waiting for our parents to show up for about 30 minutes, under his breath, Philip said, "You know, I could beat you up if you didn't jump me like that." I smiled and replied, "Okay, Philip." He continued, "You're still a wuss, you know." I smiled again, "Sure, Philip." Philip awkwardly laughed and sniffed quite a few times more. That was the last interaction I ever had with him before he died weeks later. The fuck? Okay, that got dark. I mean, it's understandable you hate the guy, but jeez. How did he die, by the way? I just got curiosity. Anywho, alright. That's the end of this chapter. We'll do the next chapter in another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. This is Rob of Novakast signing off. Have a good one, and take care.